Hi everyone. Today let's talk about the jobs report. Then we'll quickly talk about the DraftKings earnings report, and then we have some charts to go through, and we'll talk about my results for the day and for the week, and then my positions going into Monday. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this every single day, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So the jobs report came out this morning, and it was a little bit higher than expected, 261,000 jobs created, higher than the 205,000 that were expected, although the unemployment rate did go higher to 3.7%, and the broader measure went to 6.8%. Hourly wages went up by 0.4% and are up 4.7% from a year ago. Overall, much higher than expected, but not terrible. Still down from the previous month, which was adjusted to 315,000 jobs created last month, so it is declining slowly, and we can see what that looks like. They announced 263,000 for September, but they did adjust those up to around 315,000, so a little bit higher, similar to August, and this is a step down ultimately. Surprisingly, healthcare was one of the biggest job growth areas with 53,000 positions, and technical service was 43,000, and manufacturing by 32,000. And hospitality and leisure was up by 35,000. So it was pretty broad in terms of which jobs were opening. It wasn't localized to any specific area of the economy, but I do suspect the jobs reports will continue to weaken, even if it's not quite as much as expected. Moving over to DraftKings, shares tumbled after bad earnings. They sank 26% on low monthly users. They were expected to gain 2 million users and only gain 1.6 million users, which was still up 22% from a year ago, but just not as much as expected. They continue to expand into new states, and sports betting is now legal in 18 states, or about 37% of the population. They also reported a net loss of $450 million, or $1 per share, which was a little bit less than $100 million, less than the previous year. They also raised their revenue guidance to $2.19 billion from $2.16 billion, which was also raised from the previous estimate. Let's start off with the 15-minute chart here because that's really guiding the markets. It came right up to that 144 EMA here, came right up to that point again, and it looks like we're failing a little bit here after hours. So keep an eye on this on the 15-minute chart. It's worth paying attention to if you're a short-term trader like I am. Otherwise, going up to the 1-hour chart, we're still trading within this range. The lows did kind of hold just above that 270 range, bounced all the way up to that 278 level, which is the 144 EMA here on the 1-hour chart. There's certainly potential that this level right here holds. Been looking at it for a little while here, right at the 375 level. I would suspect we'll at least get a retest of this on Monday. The MACD is improving here, so still green and moving upwards. But of course, we do have this short-term bearish structure, at least over the last few days, and this certainly could be viewed as a lower high, and if we get a continuation on Monday, it wouldn't be that surprising. So just definitely be cautious. This could be a little bit of a bottoming right here. We could get a small reversal, but I would expect that to fail and then create a lower low, probably somewhere in the area of 363 here on SPY. Moving over to the NASDAQ here on the 15-minute. Not as strong, not testing that 144 EMA. Did not retest that same level here. We did make a lower high, so it looks weak. Momentum is starting to fade. Moving over to the 1-hour chart for that direct comparison. Definitely not in that same region. Does give a little bit more potential for upside, but I would expect this to fail. We do have this longer term trend line right here, which seemed to create some buyers once we got into that range. The 258.60 level, which has historically been an area of buyers. But definitely keep an eye on this range. If we do break down below this, it's going to be quite a ways down. I wouldn't expect any buyers until we got to at least 250 after that. So keep an eye on this in the NASDAQ, still the weakest of the major indices. Looking at the Russell here on the daily chart, had a doji with a long leg here to the downside. This level held, which has been a long level of resistance, but at this point we are testing it to the downside, and it's starting to look like some support. It would not surprise me if we retested it one more time on Monday, but it does still look pretty bullish here. If we get a retest and a continuation, that would be a pretty good trade in my opinion. Moving over to the Dow here just for a second. I don't usually talk about the Dow, but it does look kind of the same as what we saw here in the middle of August. Big move up above this resistance, above the 144 EMA, very similar to what we had here. We got a nice little bounce, retest of that 9 EMA, then a continuation down. Not quite the same, but we did make a high, made a little bit lower high. If this rolls over and the Dow is no longer supporting the markets, that's definitely going to be bad for the Nasdaq as well as the S&P 500. If the Dow starts to weaken and it's not propping up everything, we should expect much lower lows across the major indices. So definitely keep that on your mind. If this support fails, everything is going to be going lower, even though the Nasdaq is already at support. Moving over to DraftKings, you can see the structure we've been in. It's been fairly bullish. It made a really high high and some lower highs here, but it seemed like we broke out, but this turned out to be false, dipped back under that range in the pre-market this morning. Then we got that big earnings announcement, popped really high, and then took off to the downside, falling below that support level, back into these lows that we had here. So DraftKings, the structure is broken. Definitely not a good value to trade at this time. Moving over to StarBucks. Had a big day today. It was all the way down at $83 at one point yesterday, in the midday around $84, and then popped all the way up to $93.50 and came back down to a much more normal price around $92, back into this previous high range here in the middle of September. But very bullish here. I will mention it looks a little extended here on the RSI. I would wait for a little bit of a pullback, but the structure overall still looks pretty bullish. Maybe a pullback to this middle range here. It has been creating some support and resistance throughout October, back into this 88-89 range. Looks like a good buying opportunity for Starbucks. Moving over to LULU, I should have been paying more attention to this stock. In the middle of the week, it got all the way down to 311, more tradable in this 318 range, but then it popped right back up to 325, and the stock still looks strong. Structure is still intact, definitely one to pay attention to. And if this structure up here holds, then the next target range would be closer to that 350, this previous high we had here in the middle of September. Moving over to DXY here on the daily chart. Big red bar, closed right at the lows. Usually expect a little bit of a bounce here when we close right at the low, but definitely engulfed both of these previous days in terms of bullish price action, and I expect some more bearish price action in the upcoming days. If the dollar continues to trend downwards and we do get a break of these lower support lines, we should expect higher prices in the overall stock market. I also want to mention here, we got an increase of bearish momentum here on the daily chart on the MACD and a big move down here on the RSI, and we're not in oversold conditions, so that does say the dollar should not be stopping the stock market from going higher over the next week or so. Moving over to JNK, we're starting to build this bearish structure. Does not look good on the 4-hour chart. Have that high from the end of October. We've been making lower highs. Once again, this resistance held. Moved right up to that level and then sold off a little bit. If we get another move down here in JNK, which looks very likely on Monday into Tuesday, that should be bad for growth, and I would expect that to be bad for the Nasdaq as well. Not much to say here on TLT. Continues to move down, making lower lows. We still haven't gotten all the way back to those October lows, but it's definitely trending back down, which is crazy considering the big move we've already had to the downside from about $171 down to $94. So the VIX resistance continues to hold. We did not break through this level like I thought we might. Even with the downward price action that we had in the middle of the day, still a little bit of a long leg here to the downside, but the VIX is still moving down and volatility is leaving the markets overall. Moving over to my current positions, you can see not a lot going on. I did a lot of trading today, definitely over traded, and I should have done better, but not terrible, $650 up. Compared to an up move of $4 here in the Qs and $2 here in the IWM. So not terrible. My IRA did pretty well, up almost 1%, not quite 1% here on my individual account. But it was a pretty choppy market, lots of ups and downs, and not really a good trend. Hard to make some good decisions. In terms of positions for Monday, I still have one put spread here on IWM in my IRA. This one will expire worthless, so that'll go away. This covered call will get executed. Then this put will expire worthless here for the QQQ. And then I have one put for Monday at $260. I just think I'm going to get a better price on Monday at some point. Even if Monday is a green day, I think we'll get a move down and a retrace to re-enter the market at a better price compared to where we finished out today. IWM is already moving down slightly after hours, and the same with the QQQ, down about 30 cents or so after hours. So that's where I'm at, trying to buy the stock down at $259.30 to re-enter into a covered call position there and then try to get some better prices on the Qs and the IWM on Monday. I also want to highlight that from my previous week, I am up a little bit. I finished the previous week at $89,790. We're at $91,000, almost $400 now. And really, that's because I did transfer money from one IRA to this one. So my IRA value is higher. I would guess that my individual account is lower. Overall, on the week, I was down 2%. But the amount of money that I added this week more than made up for the amount of money that was lost in trading. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of this jobs report. And is the market going to continue down, or are we just a little bit too oversold here in the short term? Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.